we give our lives to Jesus. What is the meaning of giving our life to Jesus? Let me say it in very simple words, kids. It means to do everything that Jesus says. If Jesus says you should do this, we do it, regardless of the consequences. That's how we trust Him. That's how we give our life to Jesus. And I'm going to tell you a story about what happens or what can happen when you give your life to Jesus, when you do everything that He says, even though you may not like it. And I have a friend, America, and he is a pastor. He's about 60 years old now. And he told me a story that I want to share with you. When he was young, he was a young pastor, he was just starting to work as a pastor. He was sent to go and visit a small village in the jungle. And he didn't want to go there because, you have to walk through the jungle to get there. It can be dangerous. But he said, I have promised God that I will do whatever He tells me to do. And if he was called to go and talk to this village about God, then he was going to do it. So he received all the instructions to go through the jungle. He was told, you need to go this way, and then you need to go along the river, and you need to go up the hill and down the hill. He got everything written down. And so off he went. But then it started to rain. And when it starts to rain in the jungle of the Amazon, every track, you can't see the pathways, everything is confusing, and it was raining very heavily. So he tried to make his way to the village, which was a long walk for a few hours. But he got lost. He got completely lost. He was so worried. It was getting dark already. And he started to cry. And he said, but God, you told me to come to this village, and now are you going to let me get lost and die in this jungle? And he prayed, do something for me. Please, help me, help me. And then he said, oh, of course, I'm not like Elijah. Because God sent the birds to feed Elijah. I'm not like Elijah, I'm just a simple man. And then he stayed there. He walked this way, he walked the other way. He fell down because it was very slippery. He stood up. He said, no. What am I going to do now? He started walking. He prayed again. He said, Lord, I trust you. You brought me here. I'm doing what you told me to do. And I know that you love me. Please, do something for me. Then he remembers that he saw a fallen tree, like a log on the mud. And he went there and he sat down. As he was sitting down, he sees this little hill. And he thought to himself, oh, if I go up that little hill, I'll be able to see in different directions. And I may be able to find out where I am or, look something different. But before he stood up, he took up his little piece of paper. He tore it in a few little pieces, and he put the pieces of paper under the tree, under the log, because he thought, if I get lost again, if I ever come back to this place and I see this log on the floor again, and if I see the pieces of paper under the log, then I will know for sure that I was here before, and I'll be able to start again. You see? So he did that, and then he went up the hill, and when he got up the hill, he saw this beautiful orchard, like a farm of yucca. I'm not sure if you know what yucca is, but yucca is like a root. It's similar to sweet potato. Okay? Similar to sweet potato. And there was a little cottage with some little shimmering light and some steam coming out of the chimney. And he said, wow, this is my salvation. So he walked to that cottage, knocked on the door. This little old lady came out. She couldn't speak much of that language, that's what he says. but she offered him a plate with yuca. That was so nice. He was so hungry. He was starving. So he ate yuca, and then her son came up, and the lady said something like, he will take you to the village. And so the son took him to the village. This pastor friend of mine, he just followed the son, young man, to the village. When he got to the village, he was greeted by the people of the village. And the people in the village said to Alejandro, that's his name, they said to him, "Wow, you're so late. What happened? Did you get lost?" He said, "I got really lost. I was scared to death. I thought I was going to die. If it wasn't for this young man who took me here, I would have been dead by now." Now the people from the village said to Alejandro, "But you came by yourself." No, I came with this young man who was here with me. And they insisted, "No, you were alone when you came here." "Are you sure?" "Yes, you were totally alone." But the young man, next morning, he said, "Look, I came with a young man, and I met him at an orchard where they have yuca. And the chief of the village says, 'Say, but we don't have yuca in this area. There's nothing like that in this area.' No. Alejandro says, 'I'm sure there is yuca. I'll take you back to that place if you can come with me.' And so he insisted, and they went back to the place until they finally found that log. Remember the log? And he said, 'You see that hill and the log? I bet that we will find some pieces of paper under that log.' Alright. So he went to that log, and he found all the pieces of paper that he had left. Remember that? He showed the pieces of paper to the people from the village, and he said, 'You see? I'm not lying. And if you go up that hill, you'll see the orchard that I'm talking about.' Alright. So they went up the hill. And when they got up the hill, guess what they saw? Nothing. It was all bush. Forest. Nothing. That yucca orchard did not exist. That cottage did not exist. That old lady did not exist. And of course that young man did not exist. I mean, they existed, but they were not human. They were angels looking after this friend. Why? Just because he decided to do what Jesus told him to do, even though he didn't like it. He didn't want to go there. So remember this story. Many times you'll see that in the Bible, Jesus asks you to do things that may get you into trouble. But if you just do what he says, he can do miracles in your life. So put him first. Test him. Try him and see what he does. Okay? Can you promise Jesus that you will do what he says? Can I see your hand? Will you do what Jesus said? Yes? I hope so. That's great. You won't be disappointed. So, today we're going to talk about a story about a little boy who also did what Jesus said. And you'll see the results. It's found in John chapter 6. We're just going to read a few verses and then comment on them. And we're going to study verses 1 to 13. John chapter 6, verses 1 to 13. We're just going to read verses 1 to 3 first. To see what was going on. It says in John 6, verses 1 to 3. After these things, Jesus went over the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias. After these things. If you read the previous chapters, you'll find out that after these things means after Jesus knew about the beheading of his cousin John the Baptist. Now, Do you think that Jesus was happy? He wasn't happy. He just received the news that his beloved cousin, John the Baptist, had been beheaded by King Herod. So Jesus was actually very sad. And I bet that Jesus didn't feel like talking to people at that time. He just needed to be alone and pray. Like anyone else would. He was just a human being like us, as well as God. But he never used his divine powers to help himself. So he had to struggle with sadness as well, like we do. So he was feeling so sad that he wanted some time alone. And that's why he said to his disciples, let's go to the other side of the Sea of Galilee. He needed to be alone. But what happened? It says, verse 2, then a great multitude followed him, because they saw his signs which he performed on those who were diseased. And Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. If you were to walk around the Sea of Galilee, that is about 50 k's, roughly. Now, when Jesus was on the boat heading towards the other shore, some of the people noticed the direction that they were taking on the boat. And they said, we're going to meet him at the other side. And they ran by feet. They went running along the shore to meet him. And if you read the other Gospels, you see that when he arrived, this multitude was already there. So they must have run really fast. They must have run, I would say, some 20 k's. You know, to go around the Sea of Galilee. Maybe they went across the River Jordan. But the fact is that they got first. Before Jesus actually reached the other shore, this multitude was already there. So you think this multitude, these people that ran, were sick? You know, if you were sick, you would not be able to run 20 k's and meet Jesus before he gets to the other shore. So these people were not really interested in being healed. They were just interested in hearing about Jesus, hearing his words. Now there was another multitude that came from other sides to meet Jesus because they were sick. They needed healing. And so people came from different places. And the people who ran from the one side of the Sea of Galilee to the other shore and got there before Jesus were really fast. They were faster than gossip, right? And notice that I didn't say faster than Adventist gossip. Because Adventists don't gossip. Right? Amen. Adventists just share the good news. Is that right? Of course, you may know that there is a difference between sharing the good news of the gospel and sharing the good news of the gossip. But Adventists don't gossip, so we don't have to worry about it, right? We can just continue with this story, right? Alright, yeah, good idea. Okay, so Jesus didn't have any chance to rest, and he was hungry. He was feeling depressed. Maybe not depressed. Sad is the right word. He needed some time alone. But what happens when he gets to the other shore? He finds all this great multitude wanting to hear about him. And even though he wasn't feeling like talking to people, he wasn't impatient with the multitude. Because for Jesus, and we have a lot to learn from him, for Jesus, people were more important than his own physical needs. For Jesus, to tell people the words of life was more important than his own physical needs. It is important to have programs. I'm not saying that programs are not important in a church, but I'm just saying that for Jesus, people were more important than even programs and his own physical needs. Sometimes, because of the programs, we go too long, and we need to end, say, the sermon a bit later than normal. And Some people go like, oh, but we need to finish at 12. For Jesus, imparting the word of life to those souls in need was more important than his physical needs. Sometimes we go like, oh, but we're too tired, it's over 12. What's more important? You know, when you're watching a rugby game on TV, I bet you won't say, oh, but it's too long now. It should be finished by now. No, the longer they play, the better. If we love Jesus, it should be the same. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we should be disorganized and have programs that are too long and then all the people are tired, they can't listen to the sermon. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if in any case we have to go a bit longer than usual, you know, we should be happy about it too. Because for Jesus, people were more important than programs. Okay. Let's continue the story. We are reading now verse 4. John 6, verse 4. It says, now the Passover, a feast of the Jews, was near. That piece of information is important because at Passover, people from all over Judea will come to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover. So there was a lot of people there at that time of the year. That tells us that the multitude was really large. Big multitude. And Jesus was there. And Jesus had to labor all day without eating, without resting. He was pale from hunger and weariness. And yet he became thoughtful of the physical needs of the people. He wasn't too worried about his own physical needs. He was more worried about the physical needs of the multitude. And he saw them. Many of them didn't even have money to buy food. But this verse just shows us that Jesus is always mindful of our physical needs as well as our spiritual needs. Don't think that an issue in your life is so minor to Jesus that he will not care about. He cares about it. He cares about every aspect of your life. He cares when you fail the exam. He fails when you broke up with your boyfriend. He cares when your dad and your mom said something nasty to you as well, and they don't understand. And he cares when your daughters and sons are disobedient. He cares about everything, every aspect. Jesus came to show us the Father. This is how the Father is. He cares for us. And so he was there. Too many people. It says there were about 5,000 men, without counting women and children. So you can easily say that there were about 15,000, 20,000 people there. And everyone was hungry. Let's read verses 5 and 6. Then Jesus lifted up his eyes, seeing a great multitude coming toward him, he said to Philip, where shall we buy bread that these may eat? But this he said to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. Jesus wanted to test the faith of Philip in this case. And this is Philip, the one who was led by the Holy Spirit to baptize the eunuch. The one who was taken miraculously by the Holy Spirit after he did that. The great Philip was now being tested. If you read the other Gospels, they say that Jesus actually said to Philip, you give them something to eat. Strange. But this command, you give them something to eat, was also a promise. And everything that Jesus tells us to do, remember, is also a promise. Because he will always make sure that you can do what he asks you to do. If he tells you to keep the Sabbath, He will make sure that you can do it. Even if you lose your job, He will make sure that all your needs are provided. He will make sure. Every command of Jesus Christ is a promise as well. And so here was Jesus testing the faith of Philip, asking him to do something and testing his faith with this promise. Jesus says, you give them something to eat, and the promise was, I will make sure that you have something to give them. Testing their faith. It's like, I still remember when my kids were much smaller, I used to tease them every time there was a problem, and I would go to them and say, oh no, what are we going to do? And they would look at me and they would say something like, I don't know. You're daddy, you should know. And I used to tease them like that. And I can almost imagine Jesus doing something like that with Philip. He went to Philip and says, oh Philip, now what are we going to do? How are we going to feed all this multitude? How about you give them something to eat? And Philip would go like, me? Have you gone to a stadium before? Have you seen 20,000 people together? That's a lot of people. If I were to tell you, you give them something to eat, even if you had something to give them, you would not finish in a week, I think. But that's what Jesus said to Philip. What did Philip answer Jesus? Let's read verse 7. Philip answered him and said, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may have a little. In other words, what Philip answered Jesus was, Jesus, what you're telling me to do is just impossible. Even if we had 3 months worth of salary, we would not be able to feed the multitude. We can't do it, Jesus. You have to think of another way. Maybe you should dismiss the multitude. We can't feed them. Even 200 denarii would not be enough. We fear to give it all to Jesus. Right? That's human nature. We fear to give to Jesus what we have. We think that we have too little. And before trying Jesus, we already put limits to what He can do. And we tell them, Jesus, forget about me. Don't ask me to do that. I'm just me. I can't do it. I'm too little. I'm too weak. I don't know how to speak. I can't even speak English properly. So why would you ask me to go and share the message with someone else? This is impossible. And so we set all these limits before we can actually try Him and see the results. So in verses 8 to 9, we see how a little boy, just like you, actually responds to Jesus and shows his faith. Verses 8 and 9. One of his disciples, Andrew, this was another disciple, Simon Peter's brother, he said to Jesus, there is a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. Notice what he says next. But what are they among so many? Try to imagine this. Jesus was asking, hey, you give them something to eat. They were like, Jesus is crazy. A little boy heard what Jesus was saying, and he looked at his lunchbox that Mom had given him. And he said, this is nothing. But I know that Jesus can do something with it, right? If Jesus is asking to give him what we have, then I'll give him what I have. And so he went to his disciple, to Andrew, and he says, Andrew, give this to Jesus. I know it's not much, but give it to him. He'll know what to do. Maybe that's why Jesus says that we have to become like children in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. Because children never argue with God. Children do what God says. Is that right? Yes, we argue with God. We grown-ups always know or think that we know best. And so we argue with God. Well, God, if I do this, this is going to happen. If I do this, how am I going to provide for my family? If I do this, what are my friends going to say? We always argue with Him, but children are different. And in this case, when this little boy heard Jesus needs food to feed the multitude, and I'll give him what I have. And he gave this to Jesus. But notice the words of Andrew. We can be like Andrew sometimes. He says, thank you, little boy. But this is nothing. Here, Jesus, look at what he's doing. He's crazy also. Was he crazy? He trusted Jesus. That little boy trusted Jesus. We can be like Andrew. When there is a challenge for the church that comes from God, we can go like, oh, but who are we to finish that task? Who's going to want to listen to us? We're just a small church, you know. Who are we? What is this to finish the task? We can go like Andrew. When someone comes to us and says, I want to work, I think I can do it. And we think that that person cannot do it. We go like, oh, thank you so much. I'll consider you for next, board meeting. And we set limitations to what Jesus can do. Let's be careful. Let's not be like Andrew and Philip when they set limitations to what Jesus was able to do. Is that how you feel today? Is there anything that is bothering you? Anything that you know Jesus has asked you to do, but you think that you can't do it? Personally, or as a church? What is it that you have? Do you have something really small, and you think it's not enough? Are you willing to give it to Jesus, whatever that is? Are you willing to see the results? Search your soul and see what you have to offer Jesus. Even though you think it's not enough, do like that little boy. Take it to Jesus and see what happens. Let's see what happens, shall we? Verse 10. Then Jesus said, make the people sit down. Now there was much grass in the place. So the men sat down in number, about 5,000. Just men were 5,000, but all the women and all the kids sat down as well. You know, the people were so intensely interested in the words of Jesus that they even forgot to sit down. They had been standing up all day listening to Jesus. They forgot to sit down. It can happen when something is really interesting. It's like when you're walking across your lounge room and the TV is on and you see this game of the State of Origin going on, and then you go like, and you forget to sit down because it's so interesting that you don't even sit down. This is how the people were. Like they were listening to the words of Jesus. Wow, this is what I needed to hear. Oh, you know. So Jesus actually had to tell them, "Can you sit down? You've been standing up the whole day." The words of Jesus. I don't know what is in them, but the words of Jesus, which are in this Bible, have something for us that we need to hear. And so he had to make them, to ask them to sit down. And it says in the Bible that they sat down in groups of hundreds and fifties, very orderly. It tells us that, according to Jesus, order is important. Organization is important. Planning is important. And because they sat down in such a way, they were all able to see what Jesus was about to do. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 14:40 that we should let all things be done decently and in order. If we're followers of Jesus, we need to plan ahead of time. We need to do things the best we can. Don't leave things for later. Don't leave things for tomorrow. Don't, as young people say, don't wing it. Jesus was a planner. He was very organized. Planning is important. Okay, so what happens? Verse 11. Everyone was sitting down. Verse 11 says, and Jesus took the loaves. How many? 5. Just 5 loaves of bread. And when he had given thanks, he distributed them to the disciples. And the disciples to the ones who were sitting down. And likewise of the fish. As much as they wanted. Can you see this? This was like a buffet for them. All you can eat from Jesus. Only from 5 pieces of bread to fish. That's it. Interesting to see how the food was distributed, because it comes from the source, which is Jesus Christ. He gives them to his disciples. The disciples share it with the multitude, and also the multitude shared that with their friends and relatives who were at home. Because you remember that 12 baskets were filled with the leftovers. And they took from that and they shared with their friends. And the same principle can be applied when we share the gospel. Because we cannot share it of our own. We need to receive it from Jesus. In other words, if you're not connected with this book, which is the words of God, you cannot receive the gospel. So we receive the gospel from Jesus. And we, as his disciples and followers, we share it with the multitude, with the community, with our friends. And they will share it with their friends as well. That's how the gospel spreads out. But it has to come from Jesus. In other words, if we don't have a connection with Jesus, we cannot share the gospel. We can share our own ideas, but not the gospel. And the same principle needs to apply. And notice that the fish and the bread multiply in the very act of imparting it. As the disciples stretched out their hands to receive from Jesus, to give to the multitude, that's when the miracle was happening. In that process. What I'm trying to say is that as we receive from Jesus, with the idea of giving it to others as well, miracles will happen. And he will help you to have something to give, to have something to say. He will bring back to your memories the words that you need to say to the people in need. He will make sure. He will make the miracles. Give, and it will be given to you. Said Jesus, right? You want to receive more from him? Then give more to people. Physically and spiritually. Now this was simple food. It was a lot of food. All you can eat. But it was simple. It wasn't just to please the appetite. It was just simple food, bread and fish. Jesus did not intend to attract people to himself by pleasing their desires, by entertaining their senses. That is the method of the world, my friends. That is the method of the world, to please the senses. And people were attracted to Jesus not by big shows, not by prosperity promises, but they were attracted to Jesus by the... And if we want to be a blessing for others, then we must follow the method of Jesus Christ. And I know that his word may be simple, but it is powerful. When you present the word of Jesus, it may be simple, yes, but it is powerful. It transforms. You don't need to adorn it. You don't need to make big things in order for people to accept Jesus. Lift up Jesus and his word, and he will attract many. to himself. Jesus has not promised us luxury, but he promised that our needs will be supplied and that he will comfort us with his presence. We may have heard this many times, but how is it that we can be in his presence all the time? See, in John chapter 15, Jesus says, abide in me, right? Abide in me. But then in John chapter 8, Jesus says, abide in my word. So by comparing these two commands of Jesus, we know that the way we abide in him is by abiding in his word. In other words, you want to delight and be comforted in the presence of Jesus, you need to spend time reading his book, his word. That's how you will be comforted by his presence. Right? It's not rocket science. If we spend time reading the Bible, we'll be comforted by God's presence. That's our part. Spend time, please, reading your Bible every day. Get to know Jesus as best as you can. Because it is easy and tempting for us to think that success in, say, for example, evangelistic campaigns are due to our attributes or talents or eloquence when we speak. But in reality, any success as a church comes from Jesus Christ and his power. And I'm talking about the power of his word. That's how we will succeed. We want to bring people that will walk through the gates of heaven. We're not just interested in making numbers in a church. We want that everyone that is here will walk into the city. Right? So that's why we have to use the Bible. Because what you win them with, you win them to. You win them with the Bible, then you won them to the Bible. If you use something else, you won them to that something else. And when that something else is gone, they are gone as well. Amen. So, verse 12. The story is finishing. Verse 12 says, so when they were filled, they ate all that they can. When they were filled, he said to his disciples, gather up the fragments that remain so that nothing is lost. Nothing should be lost. And when we apply this story to the spiritual realm, not a single word of Jesus has to fall down and be wasted on the ground. Everything that comes out of his mouth should be taken. Nothing should be wasted if it comes from his mouth. And I'm saddened when I hear people say that, oh, we should read all the Bible except Daniel and Revelation because that's too confusing. That will mess you up. Everything else is good, that's fine. But Daniel and Revelation, don't go there, don't talk to me about that because that's alarmist, that's too confusing. But you know, those two books also came from the mouth of Jesus Christ. And it should not be wasted. Some people believe that we should study the book of Revelation, but don't focus on the symbols. It doesn't matter what they mean. It could be anything at the end of the day. Just focus on Jesus. He's the center of the book of Revelation, which is true. But what happens when you focus on Jesus? Can you take away his instructions and the symbols that he gave us to guide us in these days? If I was about to die and I was on my bed and I were to call my children to give them my last instructions, how do you think I would feel if my kids were to say, when my dad dies, we are going to focus on just instructions that Dad gave us, but we're going to forget about that. How would I feel? Very sad. on the other hand, how would I feel if they were to say, when Dad passes away, we are going to focus on remembering Dad, but we're not going to focus on his instructions. We're going to forget about his instructions, we're just going to remember Dad. How do you think I would feel? Worried, sad as well. Same with Jesus. He gave us his revelation from Jesus Christ, right? The book of Revelation. How do you feel? How do you think he feels when we go like, we're just going to focus on Jesus Christ, we're going to forget about his symbols and all these messages and instructions that are in the book of Revelation? It's the same thing. We need the symbols and what they mean, and also the one who gave us the symbols, Jesus Christ. You cannot miss one or the other. We need both of them. We need the author of the Bible and the words of that author. You cannot say, I love Jesus, but I'm not interested in reading his words. You see what I mean? Nothing should be wasted. And that's why they picked everything up. The providence of God may take you to circumstances like this. But Jesus didn't seek to be in this situation. But the providence of God placed him in this situation where he had to supply food for a great multitude and he didn't have anything. He just had to trust his Father. In the same way, when we are placed in situations that are difficult and trying for us, we need to trust our Father and his promises that he will provide for our needs. Just like Jesus did. And don't rely on your own understanding. It is so easy for us. If we just plan according to our ideas, then the Lord will leave us to our own mistakes as well. But it is so different when we follow Jesus and his instructions. If after following his instructions, we are placed in difficult situations, then we can trust that he will deliver us. You see the difference? Trust him, do whatever he says, and even if you run into circumstances that are difficult in life, he will deliver you in one way or the other. Now the story ends with verse 13, and it says, therefore they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with the fragments of 5 barley loaves, which were left over by those who had eaten. 12 baskets, that's a lot. And the fact that there were 12 baskets seems to have a message on its own. Because there were 12 disciples distributing the food, and at the end there were 12 baskets. I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but when Jesus was starting to multiply the bread and the fish, he never said to the disciples, you eat. They were busy distributing the bread and the fish to almost 20,000 people. They didn't have a chance to eat while they were doing that. They had to eat with Jesus from the 12 baskets at the end. In other words, when you are engaged in doing God's work, be sure that he will provide for your needs also. You will not be left out. Do God's work first, and he will provide for your needs. Put him first. In conclusion, next time you hear the words, you give them something to eat, don't allow that doubt to creep into your heart, into your mind. Don't go like Philip and say, even if we had 3 months worth of salary, we would not be able to feed all this multitude. When you hear something from God, when you read the Bible, when you hear that he's asking you to do something and you think it's impossible, don't be like Philip. Don't be like Andrew. Don't say, oh, shall we go away and buy food at the villages that are far away? when facing situations where we have to feed the multitudes, when we are surrounded by a community that needs to hear the words of the gospel, don't ask, shall we go and get someone from far away to come and feed the multitude? Don't go like that. Remember, Jesus made them sit down and He fed them Himself right there. So when we are surrounded by souls in need to hear the gospel, remember that Jesus is there and He can feed them. Just don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that if you have an evangelist that comes from a far place and comes to you, that's bad. No. If you have that, praise the Lord. That's such a blessing. What I'm trying to say is, don't rely on evangelists. Even if they don't come, who's going to distribute the bread and the fish? The disciples. Who are the disciples? Have you seen them? Where are they? I bet there's someone sitting next to you. We are His disciples. We are the ones who are to give the bread and the fish, the words of life to our community. And if we have the help of evangelists, praise the Lord. But don't be them. Don't leave the job to them. We are His disciples. Jesus is with us. And all we have to do, and this is the most important part, I believe, of this message. All we have to do is give to Jesus what you have. That's what the little boy did. And if the work belongs to Jesus, He will make sure that it succeeds. He will make sure. So what do you have? That question was asked the little boy, and he answered that question. He said, this is what I have. Just 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. What do you have? That same question was asked over and over again in scriptures. It was asked to Moses, for example. Moses, what do you have? I want you to go and free the people from Egypt. Moses says, who am I? I can't speak. Moses, what do you have? Well, I have this rod. Give it to me. You know what God did with that rod? He did miracles. He parted the sea. He made water come out of the rock with that rod. Then He comes to the widow who was about to die with her son. Then didn't have anything to eat. And then God comes in the presence of the prophet. And He says, what do you have? So the widow says, I have nothing. Nothing. It's just a little bit of flour, a little bit of oil. Then we'll bake a piece of bread for us and then we'll die. Then God says through the prophet as well, give it to me. And she did. And what happened next? Miracles, right? Miracles. So your faith needs to be tested first. When we test Him, then He acts on our behalf, in our behalf. He makes miracles. When Peter was here and Jesus was here, He comes to Peter and says, Peter, can I borrow your boat? Can you just hear Peter saying, oh, but Jesus, this is just an old boat. What can you do with it? But Jesus preached the most powerful sermons from that boat. He made miracles from that boat. So what is it that you have for Jesus today? Is it a poor English? Do you think that you won't be able to talk about Him to those who speak English just because you don't speak very well? Think twice. Are you ready to give it to Jesus and see what He has to do with it? What do you have? A past full of mistakes? Do you have a shy character? Do you have very little money? Do you have a home full of issues and problems so you think you're not good enough for Jesus? What is it that you have? Do you think that you don't have any talents? Maybe you have a very small, insignificant talent in your own sight. Are you willing to give it to Jesus and see what He can do with it? I'm not saying this. Jesus said, if you give what you have to Him, He will do miracles with it. He can feed, spiritually speaking, all this community if you can only give what you have to Jesus. Are you willing to give it to Jesus? You sure? Don't be afraid, because He will do miracles with who you are. Give yourself to Jesus and what you have, and be prepared for what He is about to do. May God bless you.